A cinematic puzzle platformer with impressive visuals in monochrome style, is White Shadows this year's most dramatic and story-rich game, or is there still room for improvement? Stick around to find out. When war broke out, they actually managed to kill off the sun, and in the aftermath the wolves stepped up, and when pigs got sick they needed a scapegoat, someone to place in the bottom of the hierarchy. And this is where you start off your journey as Ravengirl, with no future and in a world where the lies of the elite are constantly being fed to the public in a format you can't avoid. To keep the masses content, there are twisted forms of amusement, and as you progress through this dark dystopian society, it's hard to find just a tiny sliver of hope of a fair future for all animals. White Shadows is a puzzle platformer where there is no rest for the wicked. There is no starting screen ever. I find that both puzzling and a fresh, unique approach to just get thrown right into the gameplay experience. And the fact that I managed to die directly in the start makes me think I might hold a record of shortest playtime until first death. Too bad it's not a steep achievement. The premise to play White Shadows is simple. You can navigate left, right, up and down, and you can jump. But what is not clear, since there is no initial guidance, is the interact command. So upon me facing the first obstacle that needs to be pushed, it took me a while and a visit to the menus to figure out there is another button to press to start the push of the object, even if the character seems to lean against the object either way. So sometimes it's easy to forget that little guidance is better than none at all. And after the trial, you're ready to take in this dystopian world served up in a monochrome visuals, and let me tell you, it's a dark but fascinating world. The puzzles, just like in Limbo and Little Nightmares, are mostly pushing and dragging boxes from one place to another, and there are on a difficulty that will challenge you but never hinder your progress. There are also the ones I find more challenging, which are the kind of jumping at the right time to avoid dangers that repeat themselves over and over again. Those challenges are always varying from climbing ladders to jumping between moving trains, and are visually impressive and where I think the game is most fun to experience. Later in the game there are other ways to traverse through this world, but I will leave them for you to experience for yourself for the first time, since they are both beautiful and exciting additions to the overall amazing gameplay. And the big focus in White Shadows are the light and the need for a light bath to stay clean from the made-up threat. So naturally, avoiding light and staying in the shadows also becomes a game mechanic to master that I really like, and is the opposite of the game Mörkrädd, one of, in my opinion, best games of 2020, but there it's stepping into the shadows that kill you and the light is your savior. White Shadows don't contain jump scares, but with clever visuals and an audio track to back it up, you might be surprised a couple of times just by things passing you at incredible speed. My heart skipped a beat for things like this. White Shadow's worldly sounds are a good match to the visuals, and everything from the kind of gibberish language to how moving things around is believable and adds a good layer of immersion as you play the game. There are some parts where more known tracks like Nikolai Rimsky's Flight of the Bumblebee and Strauss' Sunrise play, and they fit perfectly to what you are currently experiencing. White Shadows is a world with light and dark blend together and give me both Limbo and Little Nightmare vibes. The propaganda is both crazy and believable at the same time, and the big towers with light makes me think of the Matrix, but in this world it's less tech-oriented, and the developers really managed to create visuals that show you the life at the bottom of their life's hierarchy. Ravengirl's glowing eyes really stand out in all the darkness and give you a clear visual experience of how light and darkness are bound together in this game. And with clever camera angles that change to further give you a sense of diversity, it never feels like just a simple platformer that repeats itself. White Shadows comes in at $19.99 US and euros and is out on PC, Xbox and PlayStation. For that price, developer Monokel managed to give you a roughly 2 hours of gameplay experience, and I think it's a fair price if you look at the visuals and overall experience you will get. The storytelling is clever and the platforming has enough variation to justify a price like this. White Shadows starts with a pretty grim warning about the depictions of racism, suicide, violence towards women and children and other subjects, and is something to think about if you're sensitive about these matters. So I would not recommend you to sit down with your kids to play this game, or let them play it by themselves until they are old enough to understand the whole concept of the game. White Shadows is a bold and unique puzzle platformer that is not afraid to deal with strong but real-world topics, all packaged into a remarkable and exciting monochrome world. And after you have completed the game, you might have an eerie feeling that is not that far from the real world with its social critique. I think it's a game you need to play at least once in your life. You know what? Let's not end this journey here. You have seen the game. I have a fantastic game here that I think that you should check out. I'm Danny, friendly in the game Viking, and I always say stay safe and stay awesome.